Merry Christmas, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the His and Her Rewatch podcast, where we watch movies that he likes
and watch movies that she likes.
I'm the His, Caleb, and with me, as always, my spirited wife, the Her, Megan. Megan, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.
Thank you. I feel like we should have done that together.
What?
Merry Christmas in the beginning.
I know, Merry Christmas. We should cut that in.
We'll do that next episode.
Yeah, we'll work on that. Yeah, I'm so excited about this episode, because it's the beginning of our Christmas episode.
That's right.
series.
Christmas series.
And the holiday season has officially begun here, and
yes, it's officially after Thanksgiving. For all the people who don't like to celebrate before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, this will come out in December, so
yeah,
it's great. Great time for it to come out. Great month, and a lot of activities, lots of stuff going on. And shoot, this is a really busy week for us, and I'm surprised we actually found time to record. But here we are.
Yeah, we got to squeeze it in when we can.
Yeah, exactly. We're like scheduled because we had Jet and he has Tech Week this week, and that's like long hours.
Yeah. Well, he's in a play. For people who don't know what Tech Week is.
Yeah, he's in a play.
Tech Week is the week leading up to the production, and so he's in a play. He's in Frozen, and so he has performance Friday and Saturday. So yeah, we're really busy on that. Which I mean, literally all we're doing is just checking him around.
Right. But the time is like he has to be picked up at 9:00.
Yeah.
And Ella had swim practice, and she had to be picked up, and so I'm like, okay, this is what we're doing when we get home. This is schedule. You do this. I'll go get Ella. You go get Jet. I'll get ready for the podcast. You come back. We'll put it in the bed. We'll record. And so here we are.
I know. It was like, 'cause it was hard because both of them have practice basically on the same side of town, but their timing was off.
Not even close to out time.
No, not even close. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just go get Ella, bring her home, and then go back and get Jet. And you were like, well, I'll go get Ella, and then by the time I get home, you can go get Jet. So that's what we ended up doing.
Yeah, make sure you had time to be prepared for the movie.
So thank God our middle son does not have anything.
Yes.
Till I don't know, probably January.
Yeah. He could do some of the off-season practices and training, but not when it's not convenient. If it's
for sure,
but that would have been tonight too.
Yeah, but 'tis the season of holidays
and fun.
Which most of the time I feel like people have holidays, or their holidays are busy on the weekends.
Yeah, weekends.
With
busy.
holiday Christmas parties and kids activities, and because we do have that, we have. Play, and then we have a parade coming up on Sunday. I don't even think I even told you about.
Oh, I think you did mention that. That's Sunday. Great.
Yeah,
fun.
So there's a parade that our daughter is in, and then that might be the last of it for the kids. And then I have a lot of work going on.
Yeah,
for
Christmas
the
photo
holidays.
shoots. And
Christmas shoots.
We have birthdays, lots of birthdays in the month.
Oh yeah, that's right. We do have birthday parties.
So yeah, fun times.
Yeah, and then we have family get-togethers.
Yeah, and we have podcasting to do.
Yeah.
Movies to watch and to talk about.
Yeah, well that stuff's easy.
Yeah. So as we mentioned in our last episode, we're doing a 3-movie Christmas movie series.
Yeah.
The first
3
one,
weeks.
3 weeks. The first one is Megan's pick,
Yes.
Her, and she picked It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, I had to go real classic with it, this will be our earliest movie we've ever done.
Yes.
Or latest.
This is our oldest.
Okay,
We'll go
I'll
oldest.
just say the oldest.
Yeah.
I never know which is which.
Yeah. And then I'll have a pick next week. I'll have a pick, and then for our third, it's a special one. It's a family pick, and we'll have our kids on.
This will be our
podcast.
holiday episode, this won't come out on Christmas. It'll come out the week before
Christmas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are we going to come out with a Christmas episode, or we're just?
I think we'll just do a regular episode on Christmas. It'll come out Christmas Day. It'll come afterwards or something, but we'll do it. That's fine.
Okay.
Don't worry about it. But so good times. So if you're haven't followed us already on our socials, please go ahead and do that and like our podcasts and leave reviews and 5-star reviews to make sure that you're supporting the podcast and getting us out there and growing an audience and helping us out. If you like us, you can help us out.
Yeah.
So
if you don't, it's okay.
Yeah, we understand.
But do it anyways.
Yeah, right. I do it anyways.
But we hope you do.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, before we get into the movie, you had a little something that you wanted to do.
Yeah, we like to start off our podcast, well, obviously we start off with like an introduction, and then we like to start off with
And
like
a lot of rambling.
yeah,
But
we've gotten really bad about it. I think we promise we've gotten too comfortable. I guess I don't know. But then we like to talk about like a little topic or something that has to do with the podcast or the season or whatever it is.
Right.
I try to surprise you with this one, but you wouldn't let me, which is hilarious because we really had like this. You were going to do one
'Cause
too,
I was gonna do something.
and so then we ended up having exactly the same idea.
Yeah,
So that's
yeah.
hilarious. But so I forget what we came up with because I think we combined them. Oh, what was your favorite Christmas memory? Is that what you're
favorite
say?
Christmas memory?
I was
Because
like a
you wanted,
childhood.
yeah, favorite childhood memory. Because you want to do the earliest childhood memory,
Mm-hmm.
which I don't know if I don't even know time frames. Like everything just runs together when there's,
Yeah,
you don't
it's
even know how
true.
old you are in some of these memories. I think you have reference points and things like that, but.
I don't really
But-
have like a Christmas like moment. Like I don't remember like which it's very funny because like we put so much importance on Christmases and like creating these great experiences for our kids on Christmas morning. And then me as an adult, I don't really remember them.
That's what pictures are for, right?
I know. But I also have like the worst memory in the world. Like I feel like I already had a bad memory before I had kids, but every child I've lost memories.
Yeah, that's,
I don't know if
that
that's a
sounds
thing,
typical.
but I
I
feel
think
like
it
that's
does.
a thing. But so I guess I will say I did want to say my earliest Christmas memory. It's not a great Christmas memory,
okay.
but it's not terrible.
Okay.
I think I feel like a lot of times, especially our earliest memories, or like the ones we can remember the most, are usually not like pleasant. You know what I mean? Like they're usually like, or either they are like super crazy or something kind of traumatic or something. You know what I mean? Like I feel like your
Definitely.
traumatic
Or
memories.
I think it goes
stick
about
out.
your certain feelings. Like, I mean, there's stuff I remember that I did that probably didn't affect anybody else, but I remember
Right.
that feeling that
Yes.
I had. Like maybe it was embarrassment
Yeah.
or something, and you're like, can't believe I did that, and probably no one ever remembers it, but you. But it was that feeling and that happened. But
Yeah.
maybe that's similar.
So I remember I had to have been 5 or 6. So it's probably my earliest Christmas memory. I had asked for a Fisher Price. You remember the Fisher Price little people? They weren't little people like
Oh.
our kids had. They were like little people, like almost like the size of your palm.
Okay.
But they were called little people, I think. They may have just been called Fisher Price. I don't know. But I wanted the dollhouse, and I begged for it and wanted it so bad. And my mom was like, no, we can't afford that, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, that's fine. Well, I remember playing outside. Yeah, we all used to play outside. But I remember looking, like I was playing in the shed out back. And I
Oh,
remember
yeah. You
going,
remember
I
telling
told
me.
you this
I
before,
think
yeah.
I've heard this one.
And so I remember going in the shed. And I was just playing. Like I was, whatever, I don't know what I was doing. Imagination. And I remember seeing the dollhouse in the box in the garage. And it wasn't even like they were trying to hide it. I don't know if my mom listened to these podcasts or not, but she probably doesn't even remember. I don't know if I've ever even told her that I knew. So I saw it and I was kind of excited, but that was so sad because I like to be surprised. I don't know. So I remember Christmas morning waking up and seeing it. And of course it was all put together or whatever. And I just was like, ah.
Oh, you lost the magic.
Yeah, I just remembered that feeling. Like I didn't tell my mom that I saw it or whatever, but I just remember that feeling that I think I felt really bad because I felt like I spoiled it.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't know. Like you said, it was something that I felt internally. And being so young and just realizing that I felt like I ruined Christmas for myself. But it wasn't my fault. It wasn't anyone's fault. It's just, I mean, maybe it was kind of their fault. They didn't hide it very well. But I mean, I don't think I was supposed to be in the shed either. So.
Probably.
Well, I didn't want to end on like a sad note. So my favorite cherished memories as a whole, like nothing really sticks out to me. Well, I guess, I mean, it's like, cause it was a tradition, but I remember having Christmas with my grandmother, my mom's mom. And we would go and she had all of her Christmas presents. I don't know if your grandma did this too, but I feel like this was a grandma thing, but her tradition was having all of our Christmas presents. They were wrapped in a garbage bag.
Oh, nice. Like all together, like piled
No,
up
like we had our own garbage
individually?
bag.
Right. Oh, yeah.
And I don't remember, like, I'm trying to remember, and I'm probably butchering this whole memory, But that, I don't know if it was my grandmother who gave them to me or maybe my mom brought them over. I'm not.
You
I just
probably
don't
moved
remember.
them over from one house to another, and they
And
put
maybe
them
it
all
wasn't
in a
at her
trash bag.
house. Yeah, I don't remember. It's all kind of mushed
Yeah, I
together. That's why I
understand.
was like, I don't really have like one single moment except for like that dollhouse moment. But I just remember it was definitely my grandmother who did it.
Right.
But I think because she had, let's see, there's six grandchildren, and so we would all come over at one time, and so instead of labeling them all, I don't know, we each had our own trash bag. That's all I remember. And it was like that for years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I remember my grandma. She would just not label.
Oh, your grandma's
presents.
a hoot. I mean, she still does that to this day.
Oh yeah, she was terrible. I mean, now she has an excuse, but like even when she was like great and younger.
Yeah, when I first met you and spent my first Christmas with you.
We're like giving out presents. You're like, Mama, whose present is this?
Yeah.
We're like, I don't know. I have to open it. So we open it. Or you had to find out. You had to open the present to find out whose it went to. Right. It was a game. Like who has less presents?
Because she was always that way.
Yeah, and then she would remember. She'd be like, "Oh, did you get this?" We're like, "No." We're like, "Oh, she had to go find it in a closet somewhere." And then so she would like find gifts hidden in like the spring. She'd be like in the closet. She'd be like, "Oh, this went to Caleb."
That's funny that she's always been that way.
Oh yeah, she's always been that way.
I was like, 'cause she's been that way since I've known her.
Oh yeah.
And she's just been that way. Because I remember there was one Christmas where somebody opened up something and they were like, "Oh, thanks, Mama." She's like, "Oh, that's not yours."
Yeah.
That's not yours. Go give it to so and so.
Like, oh, thank God.
Okay.
That was not even close. It's not even close to what.
Because I think she's even written the wrong names on some of them.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. Wrong labels. Like, I don't know. It's
oh,
crazy.
Man. It always gave me anxiety anytime I went over there.
Oh, yeah.
Because your family does stuff so different. We're kind of getting off track. But your family's traditions on Christmas morning is everyone unwraps a present all at one time.
Oh, we're all wrapping, going to town.
And I was like, I'm sitting there and I'm
everywhere.
like, oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Like, because we don't do that. Like,
No.
Plus, it was just the four of us when it was just, me and my mom and my sister and my stepdad, or me and my mom and my dad. It was just us. So we took our time, and unless we were at my grandma's, I'm still pretty sure we took our turn.
Yeah, took turns.
We took turns opening it.
And that's what we do. Well, that's what we do now.
Yeah, because of me.
Well, I appreciate that better. I'm not one to just. I like that better.
Yeah.
I do like that better.
Well, I
And
think we mentioned
it's more
it to your
chaotic,
grandma,
and that's
she
not my
was like-
personality anyway. But
Yeah. I was, oh my God. I feel like I was having a panic attack
like,
the first
as soon as
Christmas
you got
there.
it, throwing it. There's somebody giving out presents, throwing them across.
As soon as
the
you got it,
wrapping
yeah.
paper everywhere.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like it's just.
And there was sometimes we were in different rooms, like especially at your mom's house because it's not super big. So we would be like some people would be in the living room, some people would be in the dining room.
We'd have like 20, 30 people or something like.
Yeah.
Like all of us and trying to just chairs everywhere.
Yeah.
And
I still
there's
never
probably
could get used to the.
There's probably presents that got thrown away a lot. It just got a.
I could never get used to the fact that y'all unwrapped them right when you got them. I would just be sitting there with my presents.
Yeah.
Like waiting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because
And then
I'd
you're
also.
like, hey, so and so, thanks for this. You're like, okay,
Yeah,
you're welcome.
yeah. And then your mom's like, "Did you open this one yet?"
I know. It wasn't. I don't remember it being so bad growing up.
Okay.
But it got crazy as we got older and teenage years and things. I remember one year, me and my brother. He might have been at college at the time. I don't know. I was in high school, but we got a lot of clothes, and me and my brother put on every piece of clothing that we opened up. And so we had like 5 shirts on and pants and hats. It was just like,
I can see that.
yeah, I had like a tie, like 3 ties around my neck, and it was funny. But yeah, that was, those are definitely, those are memorable. The chaos is very memorable.
Yeah.
That part of it. And there's specific moments that you remember, but.
Yeah.
And,
It is so funny how our families were so different.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the small things, just like the small details.
Yeah.
Because we both, at least we both had Christmas. There's those differences too. Like one of us could have been Jewish, or one of us could not even believe in Christmas, or had a terrible Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's like, but it was funny, those little teeny tiny things.
Yeah, both of us definitely had good, like Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmases were a big deal and good memories and
And
stuff.
they still are.
They still are. Yeah.
Yeah.
We tried to pass that on to our children and stuff.
Yeah, and create our own traditions.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, we'll kind of move on from that. We covered enough of that. We'll do more Christmas memories and traditions as the series goes.
Yeah, which now getting into It's a Wonderful Life, which I never, I mean, I've seen this movie so many times. I've seen bits and pieces of it so many times. I never really realized how non-Christmassy this Christmas movie is. Like,
Well, yeah,
you know?
well, the whole movie, yeah, the whole movie is about, it sets place in Christmas Eve of 1945.
Well, in the beginning, yeah.
No, but the whole thing is, but it's a flashback. The whole movie's about
You're
a
right,
flashback.
yeah.
And so, but the movie actually, when it goes to present day, it's Christmas Eve of 1945. And that's when Clarence, the angel, comes down,
Yeah.
and that's that day that he comes down.
But like, yeah, the majority of the movie is flashback.
Yeah.
I don't know about majority, but well, yeah, I would say majority. It's about 70-30, like flashback.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a lot. There's only the last half hour or
Yeah.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
That's and set in that time when it's basically when the angel's there.
Right, yeah.
But I guess it kind of a little bit leading up to that, obviously.
But I don't know why. I guess it just never. I just never thought of it as a
Yeah.
Christmas movie. But I'm sorry, I take that back. I always thought of it as a Christmas
Right.
movie.
But you didn't notice it wasn't as much a Christmas, like,
Right?
a lot
Yeah.
about Christmas.
Like I mean, like if you take like Christmas Vacation or Christmas with the Cranks or anything like that, like that's all about Christmas.
Christmas Day.
Yeah.
A lot of it has to do with Christmas Day.
Yeah.
But like
or
you
leading
said,
up to Christmas.
And then like I think you would find movies nowadays, there would be, if it was a flashback, it would be like several past Christmases
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
doesn't have past Christmases.
Yeah.
And
It was like a Christmas Story. That's how that one was, wasn't it?
A Christmas Story.
Oh no, that was just over the couple of days up till Christmas.
Yeah,
right?
that was
Yeah,
like the
okay, never
Christmas
mind.
season. Yeah,
Literally the opposite of what
it's
you
like
said.
it's like Christmas vacations.
Yeah.
Like the month leading up to Christmas and
Yeah.
like Miracle on 34th Street's kind of the same way. It's
Right.
like from Thanksgiving through Christmas. So, but yeah, we watched. I'll do a little intro. We watched our 14th episode is the 1946 holiday classic. It's a Wonderful Life.
But who are you? I told you, George, I'm your guardian angel.
What is it you want, Barry? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Welcome home, Mr. Bailey.
Sentimental hogwash. I wish I had $1 million. Mr. and Mrs. Martini, welcome home.
This is what I wished for.
You see, George, you really had a wonderful life.
Merry Christmas!
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so it was released December 20th, 1946. It was a limited release, and then January 7th, 1947, it was a wide release. I guess I don't know if they did a lot of movies like that back then or not. Because this is funny because like this movie things were done a lot differently.
Yeah. So
back then.
I went on a long tangent about 1940s films.
40 cents. Okay, we get into that. I'm with you.
Okay, I'm like, do we want to go in that now or wait, save it for later?
We're definitely on the same page on how that. Okay, I went on so many rabbit trails doing this.
Me too.
I'm so excited. Like,
I think we thought that we wouldn't have a lot to talk about because we don't really know the actors. Like,
the actors in that era
Yeah.
and different movies. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know hardly any other. Like, this is going to be the only black and white movie we probably watch.
Yeah.
Review. This is probably the only in probably around any decades of those decades.
Right. No, I think it's definitely going to be our oldest movie.
Yeah. So this was I went on so many rabbit trails on here. A lot of stuff. I read like a lot of bios on all these different people and.
Okay, I didn't read the bios.
No,
so.
I was all into
I
it.
just
A
looked
lot
at
of
the
stuff.
1940s films and
Okay.
like what all that entailed. Like the 1930s, 1940s was the golden era.
Okay.
And you also have to remember, I did take a film class in college. I don't know if I mentioned that on this
I think you
podcast.
have, yeah. That's what qualifies you as a co-host for this podcast.
That I probably slept through most of.
Right. And you're like, oh, seriously, this is just because I have to do it.
No, I did like the class, but it was really kind of like a free ride.
Yeah.
I'm not
I'm
gonna
sure.
lie.
It wasn't for
Those
a
were my favorite
major.
professors. That's why I took
That's
it.
fun. So the budget on this movie was $3.18 million and a box office of $3.3 million. So this was a box office flop.
Right.
Um,
Which I feel like that was a lot of money.
$3 million
for a
is a
movie.
lot. Yeah.
Which they said they built the whole set. Like the whole town was built.
The whole town.
And that was like the biggest set they've ever built.
Yeah.
Was for that movie.
Yeah.
I'm like,
what
well,
I
that's
said.
where their money went.
Yeah.
Was the
It was
set.
like, I read how many like shops and they made
Uh-huh.
like a factory. They made all these sets. It was a whole set. Yeah. It was very expensive. It took like months to build.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Well, they said that it put that director Frank Capra. Forgot to mention him, but
We haven't got that far
okay,
yet.
sorry. But they said it put Frank Capra $525,000 in the hole.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he had a really hard time scrambling up enough money to make his next picture, which was State of the Union.
Wow.
Which never heard of that either.
Yeah.
But I don't think we'll hear most of these movies before.
I know. So I did find that this was on IMDb. It's number 20 on the top rated movies on IMDb by the voters. So people go on
Out of
there.
everything?
Out of all movies all time, it's number 20.
Out of all time.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
that's
the
crazy.
people rate the movies and stuff, like
Yeah.
stars and everything. And
That's
this is
cool.
number 20.
What's number one?
We
We should watch it.
Yeah, really. We should compare.
I know.
Like, some of them are modern. Most of them are more modern movies. So you talked about, you got into the 40s, like.
Yeah.
So what were some of the? So I was like, what movies came out that year? I'm like, okay, this is not going to work.
Oh, I don't know. But
So I was like, okay, we'll just do the whole decade of the 40s, like some of the top movies that came out in the 1940s. So did you get into that? Is that where you were?
So,
were
I mean, no, I
headed?
really got into, so I don't know what made me, so I was looking at the different actors and like, one of the articles I was reading was saying how, James Stewart and, is James Stewart right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart.
Oh, James Stewart,
Jimmy
yeah.
Stewart, right.
James Stewart and Donna Reed had done like hundreds of movies before this, but never starring any roles. I mean, James Stewart had, but not Donna Reed.
Jimmy Stewart definitely was.
Is this James Stewart or Jimmy?
His name's James, but they call him Jimmy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
I
Jimmy
wrote
Stewart.
it down
So
as
if you
James
call it
Stewart,
Jimmy,
but
yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
But
I think it was Donna
Reed.
Reed.
That was her first
Yeah.
big role.
That was her first starring role.
Starring
yes.
role,
So
right.
she had been in a lot of films, and so I'm like, well, she's not old. And so I was like, so then I went to look at like her films, and it was like film was released like some were like 3 or 4 times the same year. There was some like right after another, like every year for like a long time. I'm like, how many films what was their film process like? Like that was why I was
Yeah.
so curious, like, because I felt like they were like really pumping out films during this time of year. And so that was one thing I got stuck in a rabbit hole, which I feel like the internet is so wide of like the knowledge it has, but there's so much false knowledge out
Yeah.
there that's really hard to find like
Right.
good facts, And so I think that's probably what started. Most of it was because I was trying to figure out, okay, why
Cross-referencing things.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I was like, okay, why are there so many films during this time period?
Okay.
So, so this was the 1930s to 1940s. That was the golden era. That was right when they started producing films with sound. They even did some with color. Because that was my other thing was like, okay,
Oh yeah, I got into color too.
yeah. So there's films that came out in color during this time.
Yeah, like big ones were like The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind.
Yes.
Those were 1939.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
So I was trying to figure out why that was, which I found out was a budget cut.
Well, budget was a big,
Yeah.
huge reason.
So it
for
was, yeah, more
and
budget
also, I saw
friendly.
that it was not just because of budget, and it was really expensive to do
Oh
color
yeah, it was
movies,
a creative choice.
but
yeah.
it was creative choices, and also it was like, it was kind of more like people saw it as more of like a gimmick to do color, because
Yeah.
it wasn't traditional. Like black and
Right.
white was traditional way of doing it, so it was more of a gimmick to do it. So it had to be like for good purposes and stuff. And your big blockbusters, I guess, would be, some of your big movies would be in color, but yeah, color didn't get popular until the 60s.
Right, yeah. So that was my other thing was that's why there was a lot more movies being produced because this was, I believe, right before the war, World War II, right?
This one came out right after
Right
World War
after
II.
World War II. Okay,
Right.
so I guess it was more or less before World War II started, which like
So-
the 1930s, early 1940s was when there was that really big boom of movies. because of all this new technology coming out.
Okay.
And so there were the big film companies, which were Warner Brothers, MGM, RKO Radio, which is the one that produced this movie, 20th Century Fox, United Artists, Paramount, Universal, and Columbia. They said they would churn out a movie, at least one movie a week.
What?
Yeah. All, not like, one of those or some of all together. Yeah.
Right, like, yeah.
Yeah, and so then I was like, I've never really found actual fact on how long it took them to film a movie, but there was a couple of places where I saw that it said that the actual filming of the movie only took them 2 weeks.
What?
Yeah.
Like normal movies?
Yeah. No, I mean, not all movies are as long as this movie was, and not all of them are as big budget as this one was.
Gotcha.
But that would make sense of why she was in so many movies during 1 year. Because if she only had she didn't have any starring roles, she was an extra. She could pop in this movie, pop in another movie. It was kind of like a. Anyways, I'm not sure if any of that is actually true, but I was just. I mean, there's obvious proof and facts that there were a lot of movies produced around the same time, and nowadays, it's a movie. If it's one actor, it's usually every few years, because it's usually a year-long or couple-year-long process to film movies, and it just wasn't that way back then.
Big stars might be filming different ones in 2 or 3 movies. It depends on the movie. Obviously, some big budget ones they're going to lock them into different ones.
These starring actors had hundreds of movies under their belts when they died. That's just insane to me.
I was gonna, we'll get into some of these actors and some of their. I want to get into a little bit of their stuff, but I was just looking in the 40s, some of the biggest well-known movies that came out in the 40s. You had Citizen Kane, Casablanca, and Miracle on 34th Street actually came out in 1947.
Which I've never seen Casablanca.
I know those are
I've seen
two.
Miracle 34th Street, the first one, yeah.
Yeah, Citizen Kane and Casablanca are two that I've heard a lot of, and you've always seen the Casablanca ones, but they're clips. But no, it wasn't
Casablanca.
No.
Oh, okay.
But I had never seen those before. So, and then can you name one Disney movie that came out in the 40s?
Oh yeah, Fantasia.
Fantasia came out. Yeah, and,
I had that on tape.
Oh yeah. So Bambi, Pinocchio, Fantasia, and Dumbo were all Disney movies that came out in 1940s.
Wow.
So yeah, and those were all around the same year.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
Isn't that weird?
But that's animation too. It's crazy.
I know. I don't know. I guess maybe because the technology and the process was so simple back then, and now it's way more complicated. They put all the complications into everything and making everything perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought that was super fascinating. And you can even look, you can go on IMDb and see how many movies were released every decade.
Yeah.
So it starts at 30s and 40s was really high. It was around 7,000, 8,000 movies. And then it got lower in the 50s and 60s.
I wonder if that's because television.
Yes, that was one of the big reasons was television. And then it influxed again back in the 80s and 90s. So I don't know why it was, but I thought that was pretty fascinating because it is a pretty big decline.
Like you said, television had a big thing because
it
took actors and it took production into a different role, and so then you had a dividing line between television and movies. So I'm sure that had a lot to do with it. They had used a lot more resources that they were using into film, and they probably put it into television, and stuff. So
which also brings us back to this movie. How this movie had a big hit on TV. Yeah. That was what I saw. That it got released, or I guess it was saying. I didn't read this super into depth, but it was saying how it ended up being basically free for people
the
to
copyrights.
Pick up.
The copyrights lapsed in the 70s.
There we go. Yeah.
They lapsed in the 70s. I think it was the 70s, and so it became it was on all the time on TV because it basically was free.
I think that's how A Christmas Story is.
Probably.
That was, I don't know about now, but it was growing up in the 90s. It was on every channel.
Yeah, that's funny.
So you want to talk about the actors?
Yeah, we'll get to actors. Did you see that It's a Wonderful Life got nominated for 5 Oscar nominations?
I did.
So it got nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role for James Stewart, Best Director, Frank Capra, Best Sound Recording, and Best Film Editing. They didn't win any of those, but hey, 5 Oscar nominations for a film.
Yeah.
We have director director Frank Capra. He also got a writing credit for
Did you hear about where they got this from?
This was from a a little bit. Go ahead.
So so they so there was this guy named Philip. I'm not sure if I'm gonna get this name right. So everybody get your drinks ready. Philip von Doren Stern. Okay. He decided he was a writer, and he was really trying to get like this story picked up, and it never got picked up. So he decided to give a gift to his closest friends for the holidays, a 21-page Christmas card.
Yeah, because he wrote this.
Yeah, it was
he wrote
200,
this and he couldn't get it.
200 copies. Yeah,
he was trying to sell this story and he couldn't get it, so he just decided to give postcards.
Yeah. And so David Hempstead, which is a producer at RKO Pictures, ended up getting a hold of it and purchased the movie rights for only $10,000. Which that was a lot of money back then.
That's a lot of money right there.
That guy probably thought he was like woo woo. But yeah, so even though it was like originated from those stories, they did say it was actually not completely from those stories. So they kind of joined in with. That's why he was saying he's a co-writer.
Completely based on that.
Yeah.
Right.
I was kind of like, oh wow, I'd like to see the original.
Yeah.
Or like hear the original story.
Yeah. So Frank Capra.
I'm like 21 Christmas card. That's a hefty stamp.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
I know nowadays it would be.
Oh God, no one gives us a 21-page Christmas card. Put that up on our refrigerator. I need a couple of magnets for that one.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, go ahead.
So Frank Capra, he was born in all these guys I want to give their birth and their death years. He was born in 1897, and he died in 1991 at the age of 94.
Holy mackerel!
Yeah,
that was a long time.
He was actually an Italian immigrant. His family immigrated from Italy in 1903, so he was like six years old.
It's really probably pronounced Capra.
I know. So obviously, like I said, I read his old bio and was like, reading what it took for him and his family to get over here, the voyage they had to get here, and they went through New York. I don't know how long they stayed in New York, but then they moved to Los Angeles. I think his brother or somebody was already living in Los Angeles, and that's how they made it to California. They said that the conditions on the boat getting over here were horrific. He described some of those. Everybody was sick the whole time. It was stormy. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. He said the smell was atrocious.
Yeah, that's pretty typical for all the immigrant stories.
It's just crazy.
It's awful.
So then they get to America, and he takes a train ride to California, and they said they didn't speak English, so they lived on like bread and bananas to get to California. Oh my gosh. So yeah, that's pretty rough.
And then he goes on to make this wonderful film.
So and then he goes on to be a great, and I went into his like how he got started, and he was a very successful student and all this, but how he got into it. But he's won 3 Oscars, and he was nominated for another 3. So he had 6 total Oscar nominations, won 3. He won Best Picture or Best Director for Mr. Deeds Goes to Town in 1936.
You're kidding.
So I was like, Mr. Deeds, I was like, what is this movie about? So I read the bio, the synopsis, and it says, an unassuming greeting card poet from the small town in Vermont heads to New York City upon inheriting a mass fortune and is immediately hounded by those who wish to take advantage of him. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is where the Adam Sandler's Mr. Deeds comes from? I'm like, that's crazy. I didn't know that.
That's crazy. I did not know that
So he got Best Director for Mr. Deeds Goes to Town, and it becomes later a popular Adam Sandler movie.
That's funny.
So that was funny. I just, I thought his stuff was interesting. He has a very interesting.
I feel like they all do.
He started in silent films.
Yeah.
And then he gets into obviously audio. His films with audio and stuff, and so he has a very successful career as a director. And then we'll get into our main character, George Bailey, played by the famous James Jimmy Stewart. I was fascinated reading on his stuff.
Yeah. Did you know
Okay, did you know?
that he starred in A Shop Around the Corner?
What? I did not know that. I didn't see that.
Do you remember what movie that's from?
Yeah, that was from
You've Got Mail.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
How crazy is that?
He was in that movie?
No, in Shop Around the Corner. Yeah.
The Shop Around the Corner.
Yeah,
The
he
one
was
that-
starred in it.
Really?
Yes,
I did not
know.
know. I did not see
was like,
that.
because I was just looking at his what do you call it? Discography, filmography. I don't know.
Filmography, maybe.
Anyways, I was looking at his movies just like I was looking at Donna Reed's. Because again, I was trying to figure out what else they had been in, and I saw that he was in Shop Around the Corner. I'm like, oh my gosh, we just talked about that.
That's funny. I did not know that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Connections and all these things.
Yes.
That's so funny. So Jimmy Stewart was born in 1908 and died in 1997
Wow.
at 89. He won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role in The Philadelphia Story, and that's in 1940, which starred Cary Grant and Katharine Hepburn.
Oh wow.
Hepburn. So those are some famous names. Mm-hmm. And I saw this. He was in a movie called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, which Frank Capra directed that one, and Thomas Mitchell, who plays Uncle Billy in It's a Wonderful Life, was in that one as well.
Oh wow.
I did want to read this. I just thought this was so interesting. He has such a good, long, successful career. I just want to read this paragraph from Wikipedia, but I'm just not even going to summarize it. I'm just going to read it if you don't mind.
Go for it.
So it says, Jimmy Stewart was an American actor and military officer known for his distinctive drawl and everyman screen persona. Stewart's film career spanned 80 films from 1935 to 1991, with a strong morality, which is portrayed both on and off screen. He epitomized the American idea in the mid-20th century. In 1999, the American Film Institute ranked him third on the list of America and greatest American male actors.
Oh wow.
He received numerous honors, including the Screen Actors Guild Life Achievement Award in 1968, the AFI Life Achievement Award in 1980, the Kennedy Center Honor in 1983, as well as an Academy Honorary Award and Presidential Medal of Freedom, both in 1985.
Yeah, because he was in the military too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He said he was actually the first major American movie star to enlist in the United States Army to fight in World War II.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to just join for publicity. He really wanted to be overseas fighting. He was afraid that his stardom was going to keep him from going over to Europe and stuff. Yeah, he was in the Air Force. So I just thought it's just very interesting. I didn't realize how, I knew who he was from this movie, and I know he was a great actor and popular, but I just didn't know to the extent until I really started reading into his bio and looking at his movies and where he was connections and stuff.
Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, it was very cool. This was his first movie he made after he got out of the military in 1945.
Yeah.
And it says Lionel Barrymore, who plays Mr. Potts. Mr. Potter.
Potter.
Mr.
I was like,
Mr.
Potts. Mr. Potter.
Mr. Potter convinced Jimmy to take the role of George Bailey, despite his feelings that he was not up to it so soon after returning from World War II.
Yeah.
So they had to convince him. This is his first movie afterward. I thought that was amazing. I thought he was great. I mean, he had taken like a 5-year hiatus to be in the military.
I mean, I haven't seen him in anything else, but
Well, yeah.
this was good.
I know, right? I thought he was great.
I don't think he could do much better than what he did.
Yeah. Did you have anything else you want to talk about Jimmy Stewart?
No, that's all I had.
I kind of just went through, like I said, I went all these rabbit trails. You have Donna Reed. She plays Mary Hatch Bailey. It's Mary Hatch, and then she turned Bailey,
Mary
obviously.
Bailey,
Yeah, she gets married, and she obviously a Bailey. But She was born in 1921 and died in 1986 at 64 years old.
Oh, wow.
She died of cancer.
Oh.
She won an Oscar for Best Actress in a Supporting Role in the movie From Here to Eternity in 1953. She was actually more popular as a TV star than a film star
Okay.
later on. She had her own show called
Yeah,
The
I
Donna
saw
Reed
that.
Show
Yeah.
from 1958 to 1966. It had 275 episodes.
Wow. Jeez.
That was pretty impressive.
Yeah.
She was actually before she passed away, she was on for one season of the popular show Dallas in 1984 and 85. She was in 24 episodes of Dallas, and that was her last credited roles. So, did you have anything on her or anything?
I
Or
did
she-
not. No, I did see that about she had her own show.
Yeah,
But she'd been in a ton of things. Yeah, no, she was great in this
she was
film.
great. She was very
Yeah.
stunning. Like black and white. She's
Yes.
just very stunning. And,
Yes.
I thought she was great. She was
no,
perfect.
it was really good actress for
Yeah,
that role.
for sure. Like I said, I do want to say Mr. Potter, played by Lionel Barrymore. He was born in 1878 and died in 1954 at 76 years old. He won an Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role for A Free Soul. It was a 1930s film. He acted from a wheelchair from 1938 on due to arthritis and a hip injury.
Wow.
He was really credited for getting a lot of credit for how successful he was despite being in a wheelchair through the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Very impressive. And this fun fact, he is the great uncle of Drew Barrymore.
Wow.
So, there you
That's
go.
cool.
Yeah. He goes and plays a lot of these crotchety old men in a
Yeah.
lot of films and stuff. But I think despite as much as you hate Mr. Potter in this movie, he actually does a great job.
Well, that's what the goal is.
Yeah.
You don't want to like him.
Yeah, exactly. But he does a great job at it.
Yeah,
and
he's
stuff.
so mean.
He's so bad, but he plays it very well.
Yes, he does.
I was very impressed. So, anyways, those are our actors. If you had anything else, that's the only actors I want to talk about specifically. Anything from you?
No, I did have one small fact about one of the actors. I don't know his name, but it was the actor who in the swimming pool scene when they're at the dance.
Oh yeah,
The swimming pool. So the
the one that pulls the prank.
Yeah, the
The
kid who
swimming pool?
played played the prank was Alfalfa.
What?
Yes, he played Alfalfa in the early Little Rascals.
Really?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
I know. I was like, wow, he went from Alfalfa to that.
Yeah, I didn't realize Alpha that was that old.
Yeah, well, it's the original. Yeah.
Like a movie?
There's
There's a movie.
there's the movie Little Rascals, and then there's I
TV
guess it's
series?
a movie. It's not. I'm not talking about the one with.
Oh, I know
color
that, not the
one. Oh,
90s,
okay.
90s, and then they had a TV series, didn't they?
Maybe it was
Little
a TV
Rascals?
series. I don't know. I
That
never
would have been
watched
before
it.
that. I don't know. That's funny.
Yeah,
Um,
that's what the internet says.
that's what the internet says. Got to be correct. I know. Y'all do realize that all this is like she's talking about. The internet has different versions, so take what we say with a grain of salt. This is all.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
all what our internet research comes up, and so we do try to find credible references and stuff. But you never know what people put out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is a movie both of us have seen lots of times. This is a movie that my dad has to watch every year. He loves watching it on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life is a staple Christmas tradition for him. He says he even tears up every time.
Oh, I do too. I do too.
I know. It's like, and it does hit different when you're an adult and have kids and
sure.
you can relate to some of the
Oh, yeah,
feelings
you
that
could-
he
you've been
has.
there. Yeah,
we've
exactly.
been there, and then more and more. I haven't sat down and watched this movie, and
Yeah, I literally
Like-
sat down.
I
yeah.
literally sat down and watched it and paid attention to it in a long time.
Right, me neither.
I've probably seen. I mean, it comes on. We'll just say, okay, it's Christmas. We'll just
Wrapping presents,
Let's
yeah.
just put this on and watching different scenes. And I know we've seen there wasn't no big surprise on a lot of the stuff, but to see it all the way through like we did, I really enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, me
and
too.
more than maybe more than I expected. I don't know.
Right.
And
And I kind of wasn't looking forward to it because I felt like we had already kind of started watching Christmas movies, and I was like, I'm not ready to sit down and watch this movie. But then we actually did, and it was really nice.
No, it was nice, and it really got me in the Christmas spirit.
Yes, it did. Yeah.
I was being accused of bah humbugging going into Christmas season this year. It was
after Thanksgiving.
It was a little early. If I was trying to get into Christmas spirit a little early, and I wasn't ready for it, so.
Well, it was after Thanksgiving.
It was after Thanksgiving. No, I get it. But
bah humbug.
I was like, do we have to do Christmas decorations this year? Let's just leave them in the attic. We'd have to decorate. Let's just skip Christmas this year.
So terrible.
But no.
Christmas with the Cranks. That's what you're gonna do.
I wanted to. Let's go off to
Christmas with Caleb.
No, that was good. I'm glad we watched it. It did get me in the spirit, and that's what good Christmas movies do.
Yeah.
So tell me about your feelings, and like you told me a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely, like you said, it definitely hits you differently as an adult, and kind of actually sitting down, watching it, not just having it be noise in the background, and just like really absorbing all of the information. I feel like this film is the reason why it's such a classic and why it's such a rewatchable film is because I feel like every time you watch it, you get something different out of it. You know, that's what I felt like. Like it especially. I mean, I guess maybe not every time, but every year you watch it, you're a different person.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like you learn something different, and it can provide something.
Especially these movies with such strong meanings and lessons or whatever. And when you have a mixture of adult and children and how that relates to you.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I think everybody can learn something.
That's a good point.
Yeah, and I feel like no matter where you are in your life, you're always going to learn something, whether you can relate to George Bailey, or you can relate to Mary Bailey, or you can even relate to Mr. Potter. Maybe you're a selfish jerk and you realize that's not the way I want to be,
Maybe I do need friends to be
Yeah,
rich.
exactly.
Maybe my money isn't what makes me rich.
Right, exactly. I feel like that has, that's why I think this is such a good film, because I think everybody can relate to it no matter where they are. And that's why this movie, even though it was released in 1946 or 1947.
I think give credit for 1946.
Okay, it still is a staple in every household.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even us, like
I
we'll
said,
show it to our children.
I said, it's number 20th on the IMDb list of best movies all time. So there's a lot of people that
and I think before this I kind of always just dismissed it, like I was just like, yeah, it's classic, blah blah blah.
Right.
But I never really feel like, I guess that's what I feel like this podcast is so great for, everyone else, but also more for us,
right, for us.
We're watching these films and really watching them, and so we have context to talk about.
Right, or trying to get different points and talking points, and then you realize that you missed something last time you saw it, or you're enjoying it differently. Yeah,
because Christmas movies can be monotonous and can be just like a ritual.
It's just a tradition. We're going to do this. It's a good Christmas movie. It's better than this one. We enjoy it. Blah blah blah.
And it's usually so busy, and we're just watching it. Because I felt like we did that when we watched White Christmas a few years ago for the first time. Like literally for the first time. Kind of like with this one, we actually just sat down and watched it, because I know it's been on since I was a child. Every Christmas, my mom would just have it on, but that, and we watched The Holiday Inn, just like all those old classic films that we never watched. So yeah, that's my perspective.
Yeah, and I agree. It was great to sit and watch it and enjoy it, and really enjoy it.
Yeah. I do want to talk about, I know we touched on it a little bit, about the black and white and color debate.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a debate, but it's
it is for some people.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So it was with 1970s, I think is when they released it in color. Is that right?
I don't know when they released it in color.
I think
There's
was.
a color version. I know, like you said, we turned on Amazon and we were like, I'm like, oh, there's two movies. I'm like, so I just clicked on one. I was like, oh, this is the color version. I turned it off and turned the black and white on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I think it was 1970s was when they re-released it in color.
Okay.
I believe it could have been a little earlier, but I'm not quite sure. So
probably
don't hold
not.
hold
Probably
that
not
against
early.
me. Huh?
It probably wasn't that early to do it. They probably waited a long time to do that.
It may have been. I'm not sure. But so, it is computerized coloring. but people have mixed feelings about it. Obviously, I understand people's reasoning for wanting to watch it in black and white because that was the way it was filmed and that was their intention. And I feel like a lot of because they talked to a lot of the actors who were still alive when it was released in color, like what their feelings about it were, and actually some of them had mixed feelings. So it wasn't like everyone was for black and white. You know, there were a couple actors that were saying that they actually liked it in color because that's how they remembered it.
That's true.
That's how they remembered filming it.
Yeah, that's true.
But a lot of them did think it should stay in black and white because a lot of thought went behind it in black and white. Because I think that's what I like about black and white so much, especially for this time period, is that it makes you feel nostalgic. You know, it really puts perspective of like the contrast of the colors. So like there was one scene where he's on the bridge, you know, that famous scene of he's on the bridge, he's
about to jump.
It's very dark, contrasty. You know, if you had color in there, it would not, I feel like you would get the same feeling. Because I feel like color can kind of give you distractions, you know. Plus I just love like, especially I don't know why it always sticks out to me when I watch this, is the scene where he's talking about the moon and lassoing the moon.
Oh, I love it. Her
complexion, even though it's in black and white, is stunning.
But still the lighting,
yeah,
you can still tell the lighting and the contrast.
I mean, and I think you would miss that with, like, because it's the stark contrast, like you said, is the dark and the white. And I think you would miss that with color. I've never seen this film in color.
No, we never.
I've never watched it. I've seen the pictures. I've seen a couple clips here and there, and I always think it always looks so funny. It reminds me of like
the colors are off. It's not going to be the same,
right? Well, it reminds me of like oh shoot, what's that film with the train? Polar Express. It reminds me of like Polar Express vibes. I don't know why. I guess because it just looks fake and animated. But yeah, there was actually a quote from Jimmy Stewart at his reaction about the color. So it said, the actor also revealed that when the late Jimmy Stewart himself saw earlier versions of the colorized film, he remarked that it looked like Walt Disney threw up on it.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, wow, that's a great analogy there.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart's a very conservative person, so he would have liked the tradition of what it was filmed in, I'm sure.
Right. Well, I think the actor they were talking about, I believe, I could be completely wrong, but I believe it was his brother in the film.
Okay.
What was his name? Henry?
That sounds right.
Henry Bailey? Is that right? Hank Bailey?
Harry?
Harry.
Harry?
Is it Harry?
Where's it? I'm trying to find the names in here. Harry Bailey. Yeah.
Harry Bailey. Okay, I was close, but yeah, it was his brother, the actor.
Todd Kearns. Okay.
Yeah, he was the one who made the quote that he liked it in color because that was how he saw it. But yeah, so then he had talked to Jimmy Stewart, and he said, "Yeah,
that's fun.
Didn't like the color."
That's interesting. That's interesting. So let's talk about some of our favorite scenes, our scenes that stood out, that were fun, and
I completely forgot to do that.
You forgot to do that.
But I kind of already talked about a couple of mine,
you
did. You go ahead.
You did. You know, I love the pool scene's hilarious.
Did you know there's a swimming pool under this floor? And did you know that button behind you causes this floor to open up? And did you further know that George Bailey is dancing right over that crack?
You know, like you talked about, it was the prank of falling in the pool, and that was a real pool. That was at Beverly Hills High School, and I guess it's still in operation. They're trying to renovate it.
They said they're trying to renovate it. I saw that too.
Something like that. I don't know when that was, but maybe it's done now. I just thought that was funny. That's a good memorable movie from any movie. Just movies in general, but it's just very memorable. The bank scene after the wedding. I mean, as great as it was, really it's heartbreak. Yeah. It's heartbreak. It's very iconic. It's heartbreaking, and it's like it just shows who he is. I mean, obviously, Mr. Potter.
Well, it's also about that time period too. Yeah. How insecure everyone was about banks, and it was such a new technology for them, or I guess you say process.
Well, yeah, but it was
not hiding their money under the mattress. You know,
yeah,
that was their bank before that.
Yeah, I mean, these banks didn't have the guarantees and stuff they do now, and stuff like that. So I mean, it was just, the whole process of, he's going off to his wedding. He had a a wedding, and he's about to go off, and he's got all this money, and he's about to go blow it and have a good time with his wife, and the bank calls a loan. So obviously, Mr. Potter, who owns, their loan is through the bank, he calls in the loan, and he does it in the most vulnerable spot when, George is about to leave town. So. And it forces George to stay in town again, would not be able to leave. And every time he turned around, like when George is about to leave town and fulfill his dreams, he gets stuck. His father dying.
And bless his wife, his wonderful wife.
Oh my gosh! And then and that goes to another great scene right after that is the honeymoon at the Granville house.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so sweet.
Yeah.
What she did, and she's so supportive.
And I still don't think I don't think he even saw that until after his encounter with Clarence. I don't think he even, because you could tell like he loved it, but I don't think he appreciated it,
as much. Maybe he didn't appreciate the Granville house
because he was so set on his dreams. Mm-hmm. Which kind of always goes back to like I always felt like this is a slightly spiritual movie. It kind of depends on what you want to look at it as. But I kind of always think about like, our plans are our plans, not God's plans, and as much as we fight, God's plans, that those are the plans that are right for us, not necessarily our plans. Sometimes they can go and coincide, but most of the time they don't actually.
Yeah.
What you think is best for you is normally not what's best for you. Yeah.
And like he had a whole purpose.
Yeah.
And despite what he thought his purpose was to stay in that town and keep people being able to live their best life. I mean, and he had to see it. He had to, Clarence had to show him, that,
because
you might be here, but look how rich you are. Look how, look what you've done for all these people. These people would not be in the position that they're in, and what was his brother said? His brother says when he comes there, he said, "The George Bailey, the richest man in town." And it's just, it's beautiful, when you think about it, and it gives you that makes you like, think about yourself, you're like, I always want to do this. I always want to do that. And then like,
well, even you put so much sacrifice, that's what I think he thought a lot of it was he sacrificed so much, but he didn't think about, you did sacrifice so much, but look what you've gained.
Yeah.
You have the most prettiest woman in town who cares about you and loves you, and then you have four great children,
beautiful house that they've redone,
and that they built themselves, and he has a business all on his own,
helped all these people,
he had all these friends, that's right,
everybody loves him in town,
and respects him, and trusts him,
right,
so
it's awesome. The honeymoon and that was just, it was funny how these scenes were just right after each other. Like they had the cool pool scene, and then it goes to my favorite scene, which is George and Mary walking home after the pool scene.
Yeah, me too.
And his whole thing was like, "You want the moon? I'll give you the moon." I love that scene. I love that scene. It's like,
What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon, Barry.
Like you talking about her, the way it's filmed and the coloring and with the moon, like he's at her face, it's just some good stuff. And then like immediately after that, they drive up, and then his father dies.
Yeah.
And then because he's ready to go, leave town and all this. So
I was like, every time he was 1 foot out the door, it was slammed shut on him.
Exactly. And then,
Mary, I know what I'm going to do tomorrow and the next day and next year and the year after that. I'm shaking the dust of this crummy little town off my feet, and I'm going to see the world. Italy, Greece, the Parthenon, the Colosseum.
Every time he his brother was going to give him he was like, my brother's back in town, and he's my way out. He's going to come take over, and his brother's already married, and he's already out the door. He's like, I'm gone.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm stuck here again, and then he gets married, and then he has all that money, and he can't give it all. He just has to help out.
Can't go on the honeymoon.
He can't do all that. So I don't know. It's just a lot of great stuff. Those are great scenes, the way they're played, and how important they were to the plot, but they were great scenes, well done. And then obviously the whole George and Clarence seeing his life without George Bailey.
You've been given a great gift, George. A chance to see what the world would be like without you.
The whole sequence, the way it built and everything, was really well done. Seeing all the different people and the bar's hilarious, and so yeah, those are a lot of the most memorable scenes for me. What was one? I know you said you didn't write it down, but did you have a?
What? That completely slipped my mind.
Did you have a favorite scene or any of them stick out to you?
I mean, I guess like you said, them walking home from the dance.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite scenes.
Buffalo girls, can't you come up tonight? Can't you come up tonight? Can't you come up tonight?
And then I do love when she's in the bushes. There's a couple of really great one-liners in that.
He's about to give her robe back, and he's like, "Wait a second."
It's like
I've
never been given this opportunity.
A man never comes by this. He's like, "What should I do? What should I do?"
Yeah, I know. I love that.
How do I handle this situation? He's like thinking out loud with it.
Yeah, so that one, I love that scene. And then of course, I just love the end scene. Which is really
that's so great. I mean, all the town people
it just
there.
makes me tear up every time. Everybody coming in so sweet, and then
the famous line.
Yeah.
With the little girl.
Every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
Yeah.
Look, Daddy, teacher says every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings.
That's right. That's right. Attaboy, Clarence.
I never heard this line until this movie. I love when the bartender is like, I'm handing out wings.
Oh, yeah.
And he's going bing, 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 bing with the register.
I love that guy's voice. I thought his voice was from something else.
Yeah, he reminds me of an actor.
I can't remember.
During this time. Like, obviously, he's not alive. None of these actors are alive. But there's one, it's just been driving me nuts. I can't think of who he reminds me of. I don't know. It'll come to me another day.
Yeah,
but
I looked him up. I was like, is he something else? Is he a voice actor in something? But I couldn't find anything what his voice was. But his voice maybe reminded me of something. But I love that Italian accent or whatever he had. But that was great. So the daughter's name is Zuzu.
Zuzu. Yeah.
I'm like, that is an awesome name. I was like, we should have named, if we had another daughter, I would have named her Zuzu.
Zuzu? Oh,
That's
wow.
an awesome name. That's an awesome name. But I saw that Zuzu is actually the name of a popular cookie brand, and so that's why he goes Zuzu, my ginger snap in the movie, and so that's why he did that. It's like,
Billy, Daddy!
Zuzu, my little ginger snap, how do you feel?
Fine!
so.
Well, they said, I saw a fact about her. They said that she never saw the film until 1970s.
70 something.
Yeah.
I read her bio. She had a rough life. She had a rough life after this with her. Like she did some films for a couple of years. She was getting in it, but then her mom, something happened to her mom, and then she passed. I think she had really early Alzheimer's, and then she passed away really early, and so she wasn't able to go to auditions. And then her father got killed in a car accident.
Oh, wow.
When she was like 15.
Oh my gosh.
And though she had to go live with her aunt and uncle in like Missouri, and she was very strict and hard and on them and stuff, and so it was. And she had a pretty rough life for a while, and then like you said, she didn't see anything she didn't see the movie till the 70s.
Well, that's why.
And now she's like, now she gets around, and she was in. She goes to a lot of like conventions or viewings of the movie and stuff, and people invite her to things like that.
That's cool.
So she's had a resurgence in a lot of that. But there's a couple of the kid actors are still alive. I think her and her brother are the two big ones. I think it's Tommy or Tom. I think is one. He had a lot of acting roles, I think. But I thought that was another one of those. I just read about those bios. I went on so many. And I was singing the Buffalo Gals, won't you come out tonight?
I know. I told you, I said that song always reminds me of my grandmother because she sang that song all the time. She was always singing something, and that was one of the songs.
I know. It's so funny, and it's just it keeps coming up in the movie, and it's so great.
Yeah,
it's perfect. It's great. It's great. It's like their movie.
Buffalo girl, can't you come out tonight? And dance by the light of the
I
It's
know.
like this
I
song.
didn't realize like whenever she did the honeymoon song, that song was playing on the record player. Did you know that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
she was trying to bring him to remember it, and she was
Yeah,
trying. Yeah,
uh-huh.
I never noticed that before.
Yeah, I
So was
didn't
like,
either.
I was like, oh, she's playing that song. She's trying to get him like to remember and stuff, and he wasn't having it. It was funny.
Yeah.
So one thing I thought that didn't work well in this movie was Mr. Potter never got called out on stealing the $8,000.
I know. They never did show him.
They
after
never. He
that.
never got. Yeah, he never. Nothing ever happened with him. But I thought it was when I was looking. I saw this, but then I looked. It was so funny because one of the things I saw was a connection to the film was an SNL skit from 1996. It was called "It's a Wonderful Life: The Lost Ending." And so this is where Dana Carvey plays George, where his uncle, like it shows the ending of the movie, and some of the actors are playing it. And like I said, Dana Carvey does a really good impression of George. And then his uncle comes busting through the crowd. And he's like, I remember what I did with the $8,000. He's like, I had it in a newspaper. I had an envelope and I had it on a newspaper and I couldn't remember. I did something with it and I handed it to somebody. He said, and I talked to the teller or whatever. And he's like, and they remember Mr. Potter depositing $8,000 right after I left. And so they were like, so then they're like, what? Mr. Potter, so let's get him. And so it shows like the next scene's like this mob going to Mr. Potter's like place, his office.
God.
And so they like start beating the crap out of him.
Oh my gosh.
And they like throw him out of the wheelchair. And it's so funny because like then they throw him back over the desk, and then they're like, and like it's obviously like a doll of him, like
Yeah.
it comes back over, and so they're like just jumping on him.
Oh my gosh.
And throwing him around. And like they just.
I have not seen this.
It was. I watched it. I'll put it in the show notes if anybody
Okay.
wants to watch this.
That's
skit.
so funny.
But it was funny.
So if you
I'm
ever
like,
wondered, this is what they came
that's
up
what
with.
happened apparently after the
Yeah.
lights went out on the. That's what kept happening. So, well, that was funny.
But I think that was just the purpose of it. It wasn't supposed to be about
It wasn't
him.
about that. Yeah. Probably nowadays it would. they would put
Have an end credit
book-
scene.
Have like a book ending on. For
We
that
asked
too.
if you asked like, is there an end credit scene to this? No, it's not a Marvel movie, okay?
No. Let's see. So I went down this. Like I said, I went down some rabbit holes.
Okay, let's not go down all of them.
No, but I did. So some of my nerd friends that will appreciate this, but I was like, they talked a lot about money and different money. So I was like, in 1945, like I said, this movie was Christmas Eve, 1945. How much money is that today?
Okay.
So then there was a couple of times they talked about different money amounts. And so
Right.
I did the
$5,000 for a house.
yeah. So in 1945, $1 is about $17.09 today.
Okay.
So the house what was that?
$5,000
No, what
house?
was the place called? The Building and Loans building.
Building
The
and
Building and
Loans,
Loans. So they gave out. They said a couple times $5,000 would build a house.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about $85,000 today.
That's still really, really cheap.
Yeah, and they don't have a lot of the same stuff and a lot
Yeah.
smaller homes.
Right.
back
Well, it was
then.
like, I
So-
think it was like 2 bedrooms, 1 bath.
Yeah, I mean, it's like little houses. So, yeah. So, I'm like, okay, that's fine. So, George had $2,000 he was taking him on his honeymoon that he ended up giving out to all the
Right.
people at the bank. So, $2,000 is $34,000 today.
Oh my
I'm like, who's taking $34,000?
I mean, even $2,000 on a honeymoon nowadays is still good.
Yeah,
like, you
right.
could get far with that.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't book nothing in advance. I guess he's just paying for it as he goes.
Yeah.
And
That's
the
crazy.
most of the people that were taking out the $20, some people wanted $20.
Yeah,
There's
for the
several of
week,
them for
yeah.
the week, and so that's the equivalent of like $340 today.
Holy cow.
So Uncle Billy lost $8,000. He
Oh,
misplaced
yeah.
it. That's $134,000.
Well, I knew it had to be a lie because, like you said, 5,000 was for a house.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking 8,000. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's almost 2 houses worth.
Exactly. $134,000 he would have lost.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I could see why he would be panicking.
Yeah.
George, they said what he said he made $45 a week
Mm-hmm.
when he was talking to Mr. Potter. And that's like making $780 today.
Yeah.
Potter offers George a yearly salary of $20,000. That's $343,000 today.
Yeah, even 20,000
turning-
now would still be good for some people.
20,000?
Isn't that what he said?
Yeah, that's not a lot
Yeah.
today. That's poverty. You're living in poverty. That's like
Still livable.
not really.
Okay.
No, so you can tell the significance of him turning down that kind of money, that kind of salary,
Yeah.
is a big deal.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
That is interesting.
I went through a inflation calculator on the internet doing this. Do you have any quotes?
I do. I have a couple quotes. One of them was from Clarence. It's kind of one of the big ones. It says, "You see, George, you really had a wonderful life. Don't you see what a mistake it would be to throw it away?"
Yeah, I got that.
You know, Mr. Potter. I didn't hear this in the movie, but when I read it, I was like, I want this on a shirt. Okay.
I think I heard it this time. I think I know. Go ahead.
It says, "George, I am an old man, and most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so that makes it all even."
Yeah, exactly.
George, I am an old man, and most people hate me, but I don't like them either, so that makes it all even.
Yeah, I heard that for the first time this time through.
I'm like, I want that on a shirt, a mug, something. And then, of course, the lasso around the moon. That was another one.
Yeah.
What is it you want, Barry? What do you want? You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. I'll give you the moon, Barry.
Yeah, I love it with his 40s accent. Too.
Yeah, I know.
I'll give you the moon, hey?
His draw.
See?
Yeah, his famous draw.
And then another George Bailey quote was, he's talking about the house. He says, "I wouldn't live in it as a ghost." We talked about that when he said it. I thought
forgot
that was
about
so
that
clever.
one. That's a good one.
And then I did love that it's the back and forth between Mary and George Bailey about when he came back to the house he was just like walking down the street and his mom called the
that was
mom
a fun
and
scene.
she said, his mom's calling down, "George Bailey, what does he want?" And she looks at him and she's like, "What do you want?" And he says, "Me? Not a thing. I just came in to get more." And then she tells her mom, "He's making violent love to me, mother."
I know. I was like, wow.
I know that was kind of racy.
That sounded
but then-
racy for that then, for sure.
I love that. I thought that was pretty funny. And then I do love when I love the George Bailey. What's that? Oh, what's that? You know what he said when he was like saying what?
Oh,
he would always say, "What's that?"
When he's on the wrong ear.
Yeah.
When he can't hear out of the ear.
I love that because it's like that's such an old saying. What's
yeah.
that?
What's that? That's funny. Yeah.
What about you?
The only one that wasn't that you didn't
That I
mention.
didn't say.
Well, I already did the Zuzu Bailey one with it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Teacher says every time a bell rings, the angel gets his wings.
Mm-hmm.
But the other one that Clarence says, he goes, "Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many others. When it isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?"
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And I love his at the end with the I forget what it was, but something about him being a friend. "Thanks for being a friend. I got my angel wings." That one.
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
really cool.
That was good. Yeah, those were all those. So did I don't even know if we want to go through best actors and actors. And
No,
worst.
they were all great. I mean,
obviously Jimmy Stewart is just he nails it.
yeah, for sure.
And he has to for this movie to be so successful. But yeah, there's no least favorite character. I think
Yeah.
no one did a bad job.
No.
It was great. Everyone. It was a great cast. Like I said, even Mr. Potter, who we all hate, did a really great job
Yeah.
at it. And I got a couple more facts. Did you have any? Oh, the one I had was for the scene where Donna Reed has to throw the rock at the window at the Gainesville house. Said director Frank Capra hired a marksman to shoot it out on cue. To everyone's amazement, Reed broke the window by herself.
Yeah, on the first try.
So she had played baseball in high school and had a strong throwing arm.
Nice. That's
So that's
cool.
good. There's actually a heat wave.
Yeah, I got that. I got that one. That was one of the ones I was
Well, I
going to say.
noticed this too during the film. During the film, I think I even said something that you could tell.
Oh, he's
that
sweating.
Was
Yeah.
sweating. He was sweating, and that's why because they were filming this in heat wave.
At the when he's on the bridge, when he's about to jump, he's sweating profusely. Yes. I mean, that kind of makes sense. I mean, you're about to end your life, so
but it's
you're
like
kind of
freezing,
nervous.
supposedly freezing outside.
Yeah, I know. I did see that.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. I guess that makes some sense. It was something I like it when I see something I notice in the movie, and then there's something I find that kind of makes sense to it. I'm like,
Well, they said they actually even had to shut down production one day because it was so hot.
yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, because it's so hot, and then they're wearing all these layers.
Oh yeah,
of clothes.
they're wearing like it's wintertime.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it looks like it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's crazy. Which also helps with black and white.
It does definitely help in black and white. It was like when we watched the Steel Magnolias, and they were filming the Christmas scene.
Yeah, it was
and
hot.
It was like it was hot. It was green as it can be, and it was bright. And
Right.
like, in black and white, you could have covered all of
Yep.
that up. Oh, I thought this was hilarious. So as the scene where Uncle Billy is leaving the Bailey home and he's drunk, so he turns and leaves, and he goes off camera, and you hear the sound of as he stumbles, like his trash cans like in the sidewalk. So in fact, a crew member dropped a large tray of props right after Thomas Mitchell went off screen. James Stewart began laughing, and Mitchell quickly improv'd, "I'm all right, I'm okay." And director Frank Capra decided to use the take in the final cut and gave the stagehand $10 bonus for improving the sound.
That's hilarious. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
It's a hilarious part, and it was all like improv.
Yeah.
Jimmy Stewart, he was nervous about the phone kiss scene when the scene we're talking about when he goes into the house and right before they get married. But he was nervous about the phone kiss scene because it was his first on-screen kiss since the return to Hollywood after the war. Under director Frank Capra's watchful eye, Stewart filmed the scene in only one unrehearsed take. It worked so well that part of the embrace was cut because it was too passionate to pass the censors.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
They did have really good chemistry. I thought that was...
Oh, I thought they were great.
Yeah.
They were perfect. Yeah, the banter, the back and forth, some of the points and stuff.
Yeah.
And that was cute. That was
Yeah.
good. And I know we made mention of the bird, the raven in it. So apparently Frank Capra, I guess he's Jimmy the Raven. The bird is named Jimmy the Raven. He appears in all of Capra's movies after 1938.
Wow.
So there you go. That's why I had
movie pet.
I guess he puts in all his films. It was weird.
Well,
So-
then we realized Uncle Billy had all those random animals.
Oh
in
yeah,
his
like a
office.
squirrel running around, and
Yeah.
I don't know what he had in his
Yeah.
house when they had that scene. But did you have anything else? I think I covered most of
I don't
my
think so.
stuff. I blew through some of that, but like I said, I just did so much.
Yeah.
So much research, so much stuff. It's not worth
No, we thought
talking
we
about.
wouldn't have
wasted
anything to talk
time.
about.
I know. I just found it fun and interesting
Yeah.
to talk about this era.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, we're not going to visit this era probably again anytime soon.
Yeah, or ever.
Or ever. But some great actors. Some, like I said, Jimmy Stewart's, a legend in the film industry, and we don't really know him from much else. But it was besides this, it was his number one film probably. So
Yeah.
so it was great.
Yeah.
It was a great choice. Good Christmas spirit, get in the mood for Christmas, and.
So are we going to rate these or not going to rate these?
I mean, this is a 5
5
star.
star,
5
yeah.
star. We don't even have to.
I got a 5-star,
You
guys.
got a 5 star, Megan. You had to pull out a Christmas classic.
I knew it. I knew it would work.
Yeah. I thought you'd get me with.
I feel like all these are going to be 5 stars, though. I mean, they're what we love.
Yeah, there's a reason we're picking those.
Yeah.
And, we.
It was my pick, though, and you were surprised about that.
I was surprised you picked.
Yeah.
the
I mean,
It's a
there are
Wonderful
so
Life.
many great ones. I just had to pick a classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it was good. I think this is gonna be fun because all the movies that we're picking are a lot different.
Yeah.
And so it's great that this one was.
Well, so speaking of, what's your next pick?
This is my next pick, so I get to pick, and this is my Christmas pick. And like you said, obviously there's a lot we could do, but I went with a crowd crowd
Favorite?
favorite. I'm going with Die Hard.
No, you're not.
I'm just kidding.
Oh my god.
That's a good Christmas movie.
Yeah.
No, I'm not doing Die Hard, but I'm going with a very crowd favorite. I'm going with National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
So that'll be fun. This is going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
We'll laugh a lot.
We love this movie. We
Yeah.
watch it.
I think we
will
already
stop
watched
and
it.
watch it. Oh yeah, I think we have. I don't think we watched it all the way through,
We
but
didn't watch it all the way through. And then I think we watched just Vacation was on TV the other day. We
yeah,
watched
the Vegas Vacation was on too.
Vegas Vacation and
Yeah.
the first Vacation,
Yeah.
which as her.
They had it was National Lampoon's Thanksgiving Marathon. Is
Yeah,
what
or
it was.
Vacation Marathon
Yeah, or
or
Vacation
something.
Marathon, yeah.
Yeah. We won't get into all of the vacations, but the Christmas
try not
Vacation
to.
is definitely the most popular and classic
Yeah.
one. So, anyways, well, that was a fun episode. Good choice, Megan. Get your first
Thank
5-star.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, if you really enjoyed this episode, if you like our podcast, make sure you're giving us our 5-star rating. Make a comment, write a review.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, as Jet loved to say. I know I'm going to have to get him to do that on the podcast.
Yeah,
when
we'll
he
have
does
to
it.
play it every time now.
Yeah, it's going to have a
Love it.
sound clip. That's funny. Until next time, guys, Merry Christmas. Hope you get through the holidays. Is it helping you get through the holidays a little bit better?
Yeah.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Yes.
Happy holidays. And
All of the things.
All of the things, whatever you prefer. So,
Yep, and we'll see you next time.
all right, bye, guys.
Merry Christmas!